Welcome back to Kyle's Garage. Today it is a little bit of a sad day because the Model A is actually leaving. There's a trailer right there off camera and this one is going right up on it. Now don't worry, it's only going to storage, but here's a few tips because I'm prepping it for winter, so I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I put this car away for the season. And as nice as it is outside right now, the reality is our season's coming to an end. And I'm really happy to be able to get this into storage before the snow flies and before there's salt on the roads, because it makes my life easier. I don't have to worry about the car as much. Got it off the trailer, and so what I'm going to do is actually stabilize the fuel, and then I'm going to fog it with fogging oil, as well as remove the plugs, fill the cylinders with oil as well, just to make sure that it will come out in the spring without any damage. So what I did was I got it started, drove it off the trailer, and then I actually let it run until it's all the way up to temperature, so I can grab the radiator hose and it's nice and hot. And what I'm going to do now is actually spray it with fogging oil directly up the carburetor. And that's going to kind of coat everything inside and make it a little bit easier for the spring, as well as making sure no corrosion sets in. So I will pull the throttle up a little bit. Oil it until it dies. With that done, it won't start again until spring, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plugs out, the spark plugs, and spray a little bit of oil down each cylinder. Well, that's an interesting one because that cylinder number 3 let out a lot of steam when I went and took that spark plug out. And so I'm going to guess that this head gasket is on its last legs, if not already not working like it should. So that will be a project for the spring. Then I'm gonna stuff the throat of the carburetor. Just a little bit of steel wool, just to make me feel better about nothing getting up in there and making a home. Even though I use ethanol-free fuel in this one and I just topped the tank off, you can actually still see the gas right there, I do add a little bit of stabilizer just to keep things nice and clean without any of the gas going bad. Sometimes I'll even drain the tank in the spring, but I like to store it all the way topped up, stabilized fuel, to keep anything in the tank from attracting moisture and ending up with rust in there. So a little bit of Sta-Bil goes a long way for keeping the moisture from building up. Even though I don't put ethanol fuel in it, this will help just that little bit more. So I say 1 ounce, we'll do 2.5 gallons. And so we'll just put a couple in there. So that ought to be enough to do the rest. And give the car a little shake. Mix it up. That's good to go until spring. And that is going to be the Model A's spot for the season. So here's the checklist of exactly what I did. Got the radiator topped off with 50-50 mix, which is going to protect it down to as cold as this storage is going to see for the season. Got stabilized non-ethanol fuel in the tank, run down to the carburetor. I've run the car on it for quite a while. I went ahead and I fogged the engine with fogging oil and sprayed a little in each cylinder. We've got fresh oil in there, despite you guys not seeing me do that. I did do that. And then I've got the ignition turned off, the battery disconnected, and the parking brake not engaged as well, because I don't want that to corrode or lock into place over the season. The big thing that you're probably yelling at your screen that I ignored is the tires. And there's a reason for that. These tires are 40 years old. I really shouldn't be driving around on them anyway, which is why you never saw me take this car out on any decent trips, despite the fact that I got it running and driving halfway safe. These are going away in the spring. I know that, I've budgeted for it. So with that, I'm not going to worry about them for this season of storage. Parking brake is off, fuel is stabilized. Another winter of storage here in Michigan. Back from pushing the Model A into storage, it's a little bit of a bummer, but it does give me a lot more room here in the garage to actually get some work done. And it forces me to focus my energy down a little bit more because the Healy is a running, driving car. And all of the motorcycles are running and riding, or at least the ones that need to be. And that leaves the Corvair over here in the corner. And it is the car that you commenters have asked about since the beginning of Kyle's Garage, 20 episodes ago. And the reason is, this is the one that needs the most work, the heaviest work. And so I kind of saw the opportunity to work through a bunch of other stuff, be able to enjoy those cars for the season. And this one was going to be my winter project for this year. So now with the Model A gone and the Healy leaving in a little bit, it will be this car for at least the first part of the winter. I'll probably shuffle through and bring something else back. And just to give you a quick tour of this car, it does have the 140 horsepower 4-carb flat 6, the 4 single barrel Rochesters. Great little engine. I've done a lot of work on that. The interior I redid a few years ago, or at least I redid the seats, but there is still a lot of work to do. That dash is pretty grungy. It got new carpet and pedal pads. The door panels are pretty rough. They're all loose here at the bottom, and the weather stripping's shot as well. All of this is pretty grungy. Closes nice though. But there in the passenger seat is actually what I'm going to work on today. So what I did on this one is it had the stock style dual exhaust on it. And I didn't really like it. It was drooping, it was falling apart, it was starting to rust. So I took it off and I bought an exhaust kit from a Corvair vendor, and I installed that. And I had it clear coated, thinking that it would last, and it didn't hold up, so it was starting to rust and get gross. So I went out and I found a different set of headers with some more clearance. Once I had those headers that I knew I wanted, I called up West Michigan Cerakote and I had them Cerakote for me earlier this year. And then I put them on the shelf and kind of forgot about it. This wasn't the car I was working on, and I had other projects going, so I kind of let it sit. And this is an ICO style header for the flat 6, so it'll actually be installed facing forward like that. And I cut off the collectors that were on it, and I had these V-bands welded on so that I can have better exhaust sealing, a little bit easier to service in case I need to take them on and off. But they coated them in this real nice gray ceramic coat for me, and I'll be able to, they won't discolor, they won't rust, they won't get gross. I think this is going to look a lot nicer underneath the car. It's also going to last a lot longer and be easier to use. So this is only the first step because I want to not only fit these headers, then I'm going to fabricate the exhaust crossover and then a single muffler on one side. Instead of having dual exhaust like I've had for so long on this car, I'm going to go to a single muffler, single exit, and you'll see why in a later episode. This is going to be the driver's side, so I'm going to roll underneath and show you how this fits. And the first step is making sure I've got studs placed properly. And this one's actually missing a stud, but I want to try test fitting everything. Header up into place. See about where it's going to exit. So I can get an idea of what my clearance looks like. That's going to be a pretty tight 90 degree, but I think I can manage it. So right now I'm kind of just mocking these into place so I can see where the exhaust exit's going to be and how I can design the rest of the system. And it looks really nice. It's a lot more clearance than the old style, which actually Let me grab the old style and show you up on the workbench what it looks like, because this is a lot better, this is a lot nicer than what that style looked like. So here I have the two most popular styles of Corvair exhaust headers specifically. Factory, it was a log cast iron manifold, and I upgraded to this style, which is the Clark's Ultimate header, a couple years ago, and I really like it. It's nice, but this large radius in the turn coming out of the cylinder head is really a nuisance, because these are best known for self-clearancing themselves on speed bumps or any type of road imperfections, because the exhaust is mounted in this fashion, and that becomes almost the lowest point of the car. So you're bound to bash these on something that's connected directly to the cylinder head. You're kind of asking for trouble. They still have their place, but I've also lowered my coupe, and so I went with this IECO style, I-E-C-O, all capitals, and they were an old Speed Parts catalog. These are in a little bit of rough shape, really, because they've got some dents and dings. I found them used somewhere in a swap meet, and I really like this because it's a lot tighter exit leaving the header. You can see, even just setting them on the table, how much shorter that is by inches. So between the two, I'll gain a little bit of ground clearance going to these, and I'll have an easier time doing a single exhaust, because with these here, with the Clark's Ultimate style, it's meant to have just a single muffler hanging off of it going out to the rear of the car. So they work if you want dual exhaust and only dual exhaust. You can't really spin them around and make them work in many other different configurations without a lot of bends in your exhaust tubing. So with the IECO style, I can flip them around, have them pointed forward in the car, and link them up. This will have a 90 degree to another 90 degree out the car. The other side will have a 90 degree to meet this one. So it'll be a large 2.5 inch single exhaust. Plenty of exhaust flow for this car. With West Michigan Cerakote applied on these, they're gonna stay looking nice for a long time. I'm not gonna have to worry about them rusting away. And it's gonna be a nice addition to the Corvair. So I've got the one side mocked up. I'm gonna roll under and get this side mocked up as well. Start fabricating some exhaust, but that's it for this episode. So you should go out and work on your projects. I'm gonna keep plugging away on this one, and I'll see you next week.